Hi guys, so I wanted to show you some new stamp sets from Blue Knight Rubber Stamps, and actually I thought I was just filming this and I wasn't, so we're gonna do it again. Alright, this new stamp set is called Footbridge, and it comes with this nice scene, and then it comes with two sets of ducks. You have the larger ducks and the smaller ducks. You have a larger sailboat and a smaller sailboat, so really nice, deeply etched red rubber made here in the United States. Super quick turnaround with shipping, and then just wonderful detail. And I will duplicate this one for you guys here just a few minutes. I paired it with the reeds from the Reeds and Ducks stamp set, which is a nice silhouette stamp set, and you get 3 sets of reeds. Actually, you get 5 sets of reeds, 2 larger ones and then 3 smaller ones, and 1 large set of ducks. So here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of reeds, and then the large set of ducks. Very easy to color with pan pastels, which is what we're going to work with today. Here is another one I did using alcohol markers. I don't have a video on this one, but I just took my time and colored it in and blended it really well with alcohol markers. And then if you really want to get creative, I did one using alcohol inks and some of the alcohol ink tools, and gave it this kind of watercolor-like look using alcohol inks, like Tim Holtz Ranger alcohol inks. So that was a lot of fun experimenting with it. But you can see here the same stamp, 3 different ways of coloring it in. Lots of fun, lots of different colors, and I'll show you how we do one like this with pan pastels. You know what? Maybe we'll change the colors up a little bit. Okay, so let me move those out of the way. So the first thing we're going to do is cut our paper. This is Neenah Solar White. I have it cut down to 5 by 3 3/4. I'm going to use my Tim Holtz stamping platform. Alright, and I'm going to ink that up with some archival ink in black using the Blue Knight Rubber Stamps magnetic handle. And if you've never tried this, this is great because some of these ink pads can be very small. Look at that surface area to hold on to. And a lot of times people drop their ink pads. So this handle gives you a very strong, sturdy hold that's not falling out of there, and a good grip on that. Also, if you suffer with arthritis, it just makes it easier to hold that ink pad even better. So less dropsies and easier to stamp. I like using a stamping platform because if I'm going to be coloring this with pan pastels, I'm going to come back in later and re-stamp my image over top of the pan pastels. So it's nice to have it on a stamp platform where it's nicely mounted for me. And if that happens where I miss a spot. So that's not nearly dark enough, but I'm okay with that. I'm going to pull the lid off. Just lifts right up. I'm going to put this aside. We'll come back to it. And then I'm going to turn this, and I'm just going to color with it like that. Come on, focus. There we go. Okay. For this one, I think we'll do like the sunset's sky. Red, orange, yellow kind of look to it. So I'm just taking a piece of all over sticky Post-it tape, and I'm going to cut out a little circle. I'm going to leave a little flat part at the bottom there. This always happens to me. It doesn't cut all the way through. Where are my scissors? You know what? I think I left them over with my scan and cut. There we go. So I just want this edge to be nice and clean. Here we go. And the first thing I'm going to do is take my Sunrise Sunset palette from Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. Now I have added gold, bronze, and pearlescent to my palette. You can pick those up from Blue Knight Rubber Stamps as well. And the first thing I want to do is just dab a little bit of that yellow on there. Okay, and now I'm going to take the flat part of my little Post-it note and stick that down on top of it. Well, It's not completely round. I guess I should fix that. We don't want a sharp edge. We want to round our... There we go. A little better. All right. Now I'm going to go back in with some orange. Just kind of streak that over it. And I had a little piece of, here we go, scratch paper that I just used to hold down as my horizon line here. And a little, oops, bumped the camera. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little bit of red, like a tiny little bit of red. Just kind of streak that in there. And I know it looks like a hot mess. We're going to fix it. And there goes our mask, which is fine because we're pretty much done with that. All right, so then we're going to move in with our other colors. And I do have a little paper towel off to the side here. Now, of course, you could bring some of that down into the middle here if you wanted to. And I'm going to take some blues now from the Day and Night palette. So this is Sunrise, Sunset, which is like your warms, red, oranges, yellow, magenta, white. And then this is the Day and Night palette, which is your cools, your blues, your greens, your purple, black, greens, things like that. Okay, and I'm going to go in with some phthalo blue, ultramarine blue, which is like a purpley kind of blue. And I'm going to fill in kind of our water here. When you order these from Blue Night Rubber Stamps, not only do you get these nice palettes, you get the storage tray, you also get a sampling of these, what they call soft tools, which were designed to work with the pan pastels. And pan pastels are artist quality pastels. They're basically a very finely milled, high quality chalk put in pans instead of in a pencil form. You can use them with other mediums, I will use these with some pencils, but they make it so easy. You guys will see that this card's going to come together so easily and look so nice without me putting a lot of effort into it. And I'm using very little. I just basically take the sponge and rub it across the color, and you can see you get a lot of pigment in there. You have very little dust, so you don't have to worry about it transferring all over the place. And you can use this with almost any kind of ink, as long as your ink is dry. So you can use it with VersaFine ink, you can use it with archival ink, you can use it with StazOn ink, you can use it with Brutus Monroe ink, any ink that you have, as long as it's dry. The chalk is not going to affect it, the pan pastels. Okay. Now I'm going to go in with some darker blue, and this is phthalo blue. Yes, this is the darker blue, the phthalo blue, and I'm going to grab just a little touch of that, and I'm going to do under my footbridge here. So I want that to look like shadow. Just adding a little smidgen of that under there. Okay. Notice I'm not being like super neat. I don't know where these dust bunnies are following me from. All right, so then we need to do our little beach part. And for the beach part, previously you guys saw I took a little bit of yellow, a little bit of purple, and put those in there. I did purchase some other colors, and I will link those for you. Pan pastels have been around for a very long time, so you can get some other colors. So I have some yellow ochre tint, some Dairy Light yellow tint, and some yellow ochre. So I'm just going to kind of mix together those three yellows to give our scene a beachy scene. And then I'm going to put a little brown on there as well. I'm going to go with the yellow ochre. Okay. And then I do want to mix a little bit of brown with that to tone it down a little bit. So we're going to go back into our Sunrise Sunset palette, and I'm going to add some Burnt Sienna. Yes, Burnt Sienna shade. So I'm going to go in with that. I think I used the smaller tool for that one. Yeah, this guy here. See, if I just did the Burnt Sienna, it would look like dirt. So by doing the yellow ochre first and then doing the Burnt Sienna, you can see how nicely they blend and give us the sandy shade without being too brown or too yellow. I'm going to go with a little bit of bronze. I just thought of this. If the sun is hitting this, this is probably going to glisten a little bit, right? Because that's what sand does. So a little touch of bronze on there. A little shimmer. It's very subtle. But that looks pretty. Ooh, I like that a lot. I didn't do that on my first one. Okay. And since we're here, I'm going to take some of the pearl, which is the white, and I'm going to mimic that down here in my water. Okay, very pretty. Okay, so we just need to do our footbridge now. And the footbridge I'm going to do with the chalk pencils. And these are just the General's chalk pencils. I've had these for quite a bit of time and just really never used them until I got my pan pastel. So I think I have a dozen colors here. And I'm just going to go in with this brown, which is called Van Dyke Brown. And all I'm going to do is just go in and color in my wooden posts. A little more detail with the pencils. Okay, and then I'm going to lightly shade on top of my footbridge here. Probably could have done that with pan pastels, but that's okay. And then down on the bottom here, I am going to be a little bit heavier handed just so there's a shadow. So it looks darker, even though it's the same color pencil. See, there's way more fallout from the pencil than there even was from the whole pan pastels. Okay, now we have a couple of rocks and things like that, so I want to take a little bit of green and kind of just follow along my little coast here, and these would be, you know, kind of mossy covered rocks, right? A little bit of the greenery there. And that little bit of green just kind of breaks everything up too. A little bit of gray down here where the rocks are, and just kind of blend those rocks out a little bit. Maybe a little black. Okay. I'm pretty happy with that. All right. Now, one of the things I did on the other one was I added some reeds and some ducks. So let me do that. And I just used a stamping block for the ducks. For the other one, I used the smaller ducks. I think I'll go back to the bigger ducks. Kind of like the bigger ducks, but we can do smaller ducks. No, I like the bigger ducks. They just look cool. Okay, so we're just going to ink those up on the side. Put them right here. Okay, stamp beautifully. Not going to do the sailboat, going to leave that off. I do want to do my Colorless Blender in 2 places. I forgot to do it in the water, but that's okay. So this is the Colorless Blender. I definitely recommend this. And for the Colorless Blender, we're just going to take a little bit on our sky sponge here. Make sure it's nice and clean. And we just take a very little bit. It's not very much, okay? And all we're going to do is just kind of swipe across our sky. And what it's going to do is it's going to blend those colors in. I do like some of the streakiness in there because I think the sky does look that way sometime. But now we have our sun kind of blended in with the sky. We don't have any harsh marks. And if you wanted to do that with the blue in the water as well, just right here, just want to blend some of that darker color in with the lighter. Just a smoother transition, that's all. Okay. All right, I like everything else the way that it looks. Wow, that sky came out much better than I anticipated. All right. So I have one more element I want to add to this, but before we add that element, we're going to put our stamping platform lid back on. We're going to re-ink this, and that's because when you put your pan pastel colors down, again, some of that gets muted with the pan pastels mute the stamped image, right? Because we're putting chalk over ink. So we want that dimension to come back. So pay attention to what that looks like now. And then we're going to re-ink again with that same archival ink. And look at that. We bring that dimension back. I don't even need to stamp that again. That looks really good. So I'm going to clean my stamp. Pull that away. I'm going to bring in another stamp set, and this is part of the new release. This is called Reeds and Ducks, and I'm going to bring in these corner reeds, maybe this middle reed, but it comes with 5 sets of reeds and a large set of ducks, and you can kind of see what corner they go in. Now, I do want to move my stamping platform up because I don't want my reeds covering everything I did. So, oops, it brought the sticky grid with it, but that's okay. So I'm just going to move that up like that and re-stick it. I like the sticky grid because then I don't have to move magnets around. And I'm going to move my reeds kind of off to the side here, so they're not covering my little ducks. So I'll get the tippy tops of the reeds, and they're not covering my ducks there. I could do one of these small ones down here. Let's see if we can get that to fit. Ah, perfect. Anytime you're using silhouette images like this, you want to use a stamp platform. It just makes it easier in lining things up so that you can get a couple good inkings. Most of the time, depending on the size of the silhouette image, you probably got to ink 2 or 3 times. Probably could have moved that one up a little bit. Let's do that. But I like the other ones kind of lower. Go up like that. Let's stamp that again. There we go. That looks a lot better. One more time. Now it is up to you. There are plenty of reeds in there. If you want to fill that whole front with reeds, you can. And because it's archival ink, it will dry pretty quickly. Now we always need to set our pan pastels. Some people set them with hairspray. I like to use a clear spray. Can move this aside. Let me just wipe this down. So we're done with that. And that looks pretty good. I'm just going to add a little bit more blue along the bottom here. Just barely touching that up. Okay, so to set it, we just bring in our little box, little spray box. And I use this Krylon Shortcut Spray Clear Gloss. If you wanted to do a sentiment, you would put your sentiment on now. Just do a quick spritz, make sure the whole thing is covered. And it dries very, very quickly. All right. So here you can see the finished product, colored with pan pastels. And here is the one I did earlier, which I thought I was filming, and I wasn't filming. A little bit different look. Okay, and for this one I use the cloud stencil from Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. And then here is the one I did with alcohol inks and alcohol ink tools. And here is the one I did with coloring with alcohol ink markers. All right, so there you go, guys. 4 different panels using the new stamp set from Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. And again, I will link everything down below for you. If you have any questions, post them down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching and keep on stamping. Bye-bye.